Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to our show. I'm here today with Isaac Vance. And what we're going to talk about is, besides his journey in business and real estate, we're going to talk about how to use and get your first deal using short-term rental strategy. Guys, remember, here at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, kind of all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their business. And we do that by providing the tools and resources, the opportunities to grow that business you want to grow and live that life you've always dreamed of. So Isaac, man, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Excited to talk short-term rentals.
Sounds good, man, and I'm excited to dive into that world too, and especially as your first deal. That's kind of interesting. But before we get into all that and jump into the weeds of that stuff, tell our audience a little bit about you, kind of your background, how you got into real estate, and kind of what got you up to today.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, my background, I'm a retail manager. I still work my 9 to 5, but ever since, I'm still in the grind, So, but ever since I was young, to be honest, like the 9 to 5, the 2 weeks of vacation a year, like I knew just like that definitely wasn't for me, and there had to be another way. So I've always had that entrepreneurial itch, and it was just trying to find the right vehicle, for me. So I would say I definitely tried a few things. I've sold on Amazon before. There might be some people out there with a wine chiller sleeve with my name on it. I've dabbled in the vending machine business. I have one in my local mall up here in Temecula. But I finally, I really just focused in and tried to find, the one vehicle that would really actually change my life. Like both of those two, it would take years. You would need 100 machines, or like just so many products on Amazon. I was like, what's the one thing people pay first? Rent or mortgage? So I was like, okay, I know I need to somehow be in real estate. And having a normal job, I did not have enough money for a down payment instantly. So I was like, okay, how can I get in when I don't really have, much money down? So that kind of, led me to short-term rentals.
Okay.
So I saw I saw the monthly returns, 1,000 to 2,000. You hear the people in the space like, oh, 3 times what you'll make on a long-term rental. I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. I want something that 1 or 2 deals in can actually change, my circumstances and not have to scale so much. So
Right.
yeah, so I definitely started off with it's called rental arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
So I rented a home, and then I subleased it and put it on Airbnb. I used a business credit card to fund it. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of money,
Right.
but I did my work. I did my work in advance. I set up my credit right. I had a good credit score, good credit lines. Opened up an LLC. So the down payment, typical rental. If they want, to furnish it all. Use the business credit card.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
It took off in about 4 months, paid off the whole credit card. It was a 0% interest for 12 months. So I
Nice.
got that out of the way. There, all the risk was gone. From there, it was all actually profit from month to month. About 5 months after that, after I paid off the credit card, I had enough money and I bought some land in Georgia completely, and I launched my first Airbnb on my own with me and my wife. It's a glamping dome like an hour outside of Atlanta.
Nice.
And so that's pretty much how short-term rentals, got me to own my first, property.
Well, that's awesome. And we'll go into all that here in a few minutes. And if you ever watch any of my podcasts, I like to go backwards. So before
Definitely.
you started doing Amazon and vending machines and all that stuff, was there any exposure, any influence, anybody in your life that was doing real estate, any type of real estate?
Honestly, no. And I think that's the hard part for a lot of people trying to get started. When you get the bug, or one of the first things that got introduced was Rich Dad Poor Dad. I feel,
Okay,
like,
okay. I was
everyone.
waiting for that. I was waiting for that. The
I
purple
know, I
book.
know. Exactly. I had this when I was a teenager, but after I read that, I was like, oh, okay,
Got it.
assets and real estate, so that got my mind going.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think especially in this day and age, the internet is so huge. So
Mm-hmm.
no, I didn't know anybody personally, but once I got interested, I'm like, okay, I'm YouTube, podcasts. I'm like, I was learning and just seeing that it's possible through other people. And I just had to connect myself and think like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too. And there's just too much free information out there, but it definitely just takes your own drive,
Yep.
because those around you, especially in the beginning when you're getting started, it might be negative, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I not understand what you're doing. They're not going to support it because they don't know,
Yeah.
and you don't know. But that's why, reach out to resources, maybe find mentors, podcasts, things like that. So that's what, kind of motivated me and helped me realize that at least it is possible.
Right. Okay. So what are you doing 9 to 5?
So 9 to 5, I am a store manager at Tommy Bahama.
Ooh, you probably just
Yep.
clean, boy. I got a bunch of those shirts. No, my
I'm
stepdad,
wearing one
my
right
stepdad
now.
has like, yeah, my stepdad has like, they're all Tommy Bahama shirt, all of them. That's all he wears. Okay, so you're doing this. This is interesting because a lot of biggest hangups with folks is, oh, I have a 9 to 5 job. I don't have time to do anything.
And for me, that's definitely an excuse. But honestly, I don't want to sound like a broken record or anything like that. You're not going to get through those hurdles.
Yep.
When I started, I literally started my arbitrage a month after my daughter was born, and I went to a new job, so I didn't have time off. Was
Mm-hmm.
that the best time to be, starting a new endeavor, a new business? It's never going to be the right time. There's always going to be excuses.
Right.
I mean, I stayed up until 2 a.m. just researching, learning Airbnb, learning what makes people click, like learning why they're booking, like learning the data, like understanding it. So yeah, it's really all of that is really just an excuse. You just have to have a strong why and some determination, and you can definitely achieve the things you need to achieve. Especially with all the data out there. There's too many, like there's too many people
There's
giving away free information.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So as you're working 9 to 5, I mean, what type of tools or resources were you studying? I mean, were you just online? Did you do any type of mentorship, any coaching programs, anything to help you learn? And then also too, before you answer that question,
Mhm.
why rental arbitrage? Why short-term rentals? Why not flipping? Why not regular rentals, long term? Why not any of the stuff most people start in?
That's true. I would say the reason for me was, I'm glad that you touched on this. I
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I pictured how I wanted my life to be. Like, so I'm like, instead of picking a business that was trendy, which is what I did the first two times, I was like, oh, I saw people selling on Amazon,
Right.
maybe they're making money, let me try too. I'm like, how do I actually want like, if I'm successful, like, how do I want my life to look? So I know I needed a certain amount of income and I didn't want too many deals. So Airbnb kind of inserted itself there with the cash flow perspective.
Hmm.
But then what else interested me is how you can run it. It's very automated. So that's where I was like, okay, now I can get my time back. And not only my time, I don't have to sacrifice the amount of money that I actually need to eventually quit my job.
Right.
So kind of those two factors, just the business part in general and the cash flow that it brought in monthly, is really what like drew me to that. So I, reverse engineered how I wanted my life to be to match the business.
Right.
Some people will pick like their passion, like, oh, I love working out. I'm like, is that like, is it the best business plan? Like, who knows?
If you're
But like,
Alex Hormozy, it is.
if you're exactly.
You
So
know, that's a,
I really just, yeah, landed on the business that I knew would like make me happy, when I am successful. So that's kind of how I found that.
that's how you found that. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, Airbnb.
Yeah, okay. And then did you do any type of
Oh,
like
coaching.
mentoring, coaching, anything like that?
So I actually didn't. It was just there was two YouTube channels that really like broke down like step by step of how to get into Airbnb, especially when I got started in 2023 is when I launched my first arbitrage unit.
Okay.
So the boom had already happened.
Right.
Like after COVID, that's when the explosion happened. So I followed Raw Bill and the Real Estate Robinsons, and there's like a couple other podcasts, but they really had some like step-by-step tutorials of what to do, how to do it, what tools to use. I literally just copied and pasted. Like I used the exact property management system that they referred. I mean down to the same mattress. If they're giving me
Hey,
mattress,
I mean, about to
like
say, if it's working, why
why
not
not?
just jump on it? Jeez.
Exactly, and that's why I try to preach this a lot. Like I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm doing my own thing with like unique stays, which we can get into later. But the systems and how it runs and how to price and things like that, like it's already been done. It's already been laid out.
Yeah.
So why not follow in the footsteps?
So
And like
how
I
are
said, I didn't have any money, so I need the free YouTube.
yeah, exactly. YouTube U. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic information on there. So let's kind of get tactical and walk me through the place. So you're renting a property with your
Yes,
own in your own name.
yes, in my own name. I So first, the way, we could dig in deep. How I first found the deal.
Hmm.
So I knew what type of home, after all my research, like what type of home and what base amenities it needed to produce, some cash flow and make it be successful. So
And
what
how
I
did you
did
find that
was,
stuff out? Like AirDNA, Data Rabu? What did you use?
yes, I used AirDNA.
Okay.
And I supplemented my projections with, I also used a service called STR Search.
Okay.
His name's John Bianchi, huge data analyst for the short-term rental space. I think I paid like $100 for him to go through and verify and vet out my property to see what it would make. So not only did I just trust my own, I was like I threw at least a couple resources to verify what I
Yeah.
was, what I was seeing, especially being my first property. But I would literally just go on sites like Zillow, Trulia, and look up furnished rentals, and if they fit my properties, if they fit my buy box, then I would just email them, hey, like, are you okay with me, being, short-term rental leasing
Okay,
it?
that was
I
going to
could
be my
pay.
next question. Are you talking to these people about it, or are
Yeah,
you? Because some people might be listening, going, "Okay, so all I have to do is rent a property, and I can just like do a short term on it."
definitely not. You need to get their permission. You need to do it right. And I will say I was lucky. After 60 no's, one guy said he'll meet with me.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Mm-hmm.
And they were paying a property manager. It was already a short-term rental, but
Okay.
they were paying a property manager so much money that they weren't making the spread. They weren't netting anything. So he was like, "Hey, if you just manage on your own, you'll probably just make money instantly." And being it was already a short-term rental, he gave me all the contacts. I was truly blessed. Like he
Mm.
had the cleaner, he had the handyman, he
Oh,
had the plumber.
perfect.
I mean,
Perfect.
you couldn't have asked. I mean, for the perfect setup, and we can dig into the relationship part after because that single relationship has actually skyrocketed. Like my entire kind of journey to this point. But yes, you want to get it in writing, you want to do it legally, and go from there. So yeah, that's how I initially rented it
Okay.
and put it
And
on
then
my
you
name.
just, you went out and bought a bunch of furniture to furnish it all. And uh,
With the
how long
business
did
credit card.
yeah, how long did it take you to get your first booking?
It's funny, it took me like less than a week.
Nice. Okay. And then you
So
learned all
I
that good via YouTube, right?
Yep, and that's where the research came in. So like I finally could put all my research into play. So especially at this time in this space, the amenity boom was at the base. So I knew I needed something scroll stopping. I need it's short-term rentals and Airbnb, it's really like Instagram. You're scrolling until you see stuff like, "Oh, what is that?" So
Right.
I knew psychologically, and like my cover photo needs to be eye-popping enough to catch something different than everybody else is posting. So if everyone has a picture of their hot tub, I need something else.
You
It
need
doesn't
something
have to
that
be something crazy, but it needs to be something else for them to stop.
you need a
So
picture of the big bar out on the balcony or on the patio or something like that with the fire going and
exactly.
something like yeah, no, I get that. Awesome. That's awesome. So, how many properties do you have now? You have the one you mentioned with your wife, the dome, which is sounds pretty darn cool.
Yes.
Tell me about that property.
Yeah, so this is my baby. So this is actually the only one we own, and I will get into how to kind of supercharge, the owning process from short-term rentals. But yes, it's in Sparta, Georgia. It's 5 minutes from a lake. We provide, a coffee bar, fishing lines. It has Wi-Fi, smart TV, so it's like glamping on the next level. You got a memory foam mattress. The dome is insulated. We have
That's
AC.
awesome.
I mean, everything you could think of. It's truly like a couple's getaway or like a solo traveler getaway, things like that. So I'm still reinvesting constantly. I just
Hmm.
put out some outdoor string lights that really gave it a nice vibe for the outdoors. Since the dome is small, but the land is there's plenty of land, so I'm focusing on the outdoors. So it's like I want to get a hot tub in there, things like that to kind of
Nice.
spruce it
And
up.
this is land you own.
Land I completely own. So.
Beautiful. Love that. So, what do you think are some of your struggles going on right now with growing your business?
I will say one of the struggles is our next project. So we actually plan on doing a container home in Williams, Arizona, right outside of the Grand Canyon. And it costs a lot more than the dome in Georgia. So we're pretty much fully building a home from scratch. So,
Okay.
but it's raw land. So I mean, we have to put in a septic system. We have to put in a water system. We have to build a foundation. So all of that with all of our projections, it's about 80K
Hmm.
to pretty much start that project. So I would say the finances part is holding us up,
Okay.
which kind of, takes me into this other strategy, which is co-hosting or managing other people's Airbnbs to really boost your income to then, put all that money towards your personal portfolio.
Right.
And that's what I'm
Okay.
doing now.
Okay, so how did you start doing that? I mean, and I guess another good question too is like, how do you get people to trust you to co-host?
Yeah, definitely. For me, I used my first deal. So I kept all my data of like, what I did through the summer, my average daily rate, my occupancy, things like that. And I will say I transitioned. So one of the hurdles in arbitrage, which I don't, it's the way I got started, but I really don't pitch it because it is risky. It's your personal name, things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But after the end of my first year, they knew what I was doing and they knew how successful I was, obviously, and they tried to go up on the rent $1,000. They're like, you make money, it's
Yeah,
fine.
you made,
They know I'm
yeah,
not just living in it. Yeah.
right, right. Okay.
So what I did, I will say props to my wife. This was her idea. Because me, I'm very risk averse, a little too risk averse at times.
Me
And
too.
she was like, no, like we cannot like I thought we could have pulled it off with the extra 1,000, but she was like, no, like they're gonna keep it's just gonna be a cycle. It's just gonna go up and up and the lease they offered a shorter lease, so it's like you knew that was the strategy. They were just gonna keep going higher and higher.
Yeah, exactly.
So she had came up with the idea to switch to managing. So I pitched them. I was like, "Hey, I'll leave my stuff in there. Like I'll leave my cool dome. I have like a cool dome pool table. I brought all the fun stuff. They
Mhm.
just had like the beds, some of the base things. I was like, I'll leave all my things in there if I can just co-host it, if I could just manage it for you at a percentage. And
Right.
obviously they said yes.
Cool. Very cool.
But
Okay.
yeah, but to actually grow it, I guess for someone who doesn't do arbitrage, straight into to co-hosting is really it's just the research. It's just know what you're talking about, know the area, know
Know
what
your
at
numbers.
know your no. You have to know your numbers, and really, it's the plan is to for people who for I'm sorry for those long-term owners, so who buy and hold owners they think of short-term rental and you think of so much work. Like, oh, I don't want to have a short-term, and like it sounds like, you got gas, you got complaint, you got to do so much work.
Right.
So it's really pitching them how a normal property manager would pitch it. Like, hey, this is done for you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Do
White
you want the
glove.
advantage of the cash flow? Like you can make three, four times including my percentage, and you still don't have to do anything. I take care of the permit, I take care of the furnishing, I take care of the cleaning, everything. So it's like just letting them know that you can actually take care of it like a normal property manager would,
Mm-hmm.
and just letting them know the benefits is really how you can get someone to trust you and to scale your business. And once you get one, it's really a snowball effect. I've had a couple referrals to of how I grew my business, and Airbnb itself. Now this was a game changer for me. So I got started just in October of 2024. So it's only been what, like 6, 7 months since I started
Yeah.
actually managing for people. So from that one arbitrage unit, I'm at 10 properties right now, and I have two in the pipeline for this summer.
Nice.
So Airbnb I will say they played a big role in that because there was no way of connecting the owners to the property managers.
Right.
Like you had to do it all yourself. Like I said, I'm going on Trulia, I'm going on Zillow. Like, hey, do you want to convert your, long-term rental to a short-term rental? Like, let me help you. It was all just, grinding, hitting the pavement, and they realized that. So they created a network. It's called the Co-host Network.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're above a certain rating, so if you have to maintain like a 4.8 stars to even be visible on the platform, and they pretty much, promote these hosts to owners who want to
Oh, okay.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like a dashboard. Like, hey, I live in, Temecula, California. Like, I want to Airbnb my house. Let me click on there, and then
It'll show
four
all the
hosts will pop
operators
up.
or managers.
Exactly. And it's like a profile. It's like, Facebook. It shows their profile, it shows how many listings I have, it shows my rating, it shows all your reviews. So I incentivize this host to really be good hosts. It's like they're gonna pick the person, who offers the best services, who has the highest rating from reviews. And then
Right.
honestly, I've probably got half of my clients from Airbnb. They just message me like, hey, I have this property. I see you know what you're doing in this area, and can you help me out?
That's sweet. That's awesome. What
So it's a
advice
bit of both.
what advice would you give to someone that wants to get into short term, stuff that you're doing?
I would say you just really have to be focused and you have to be determined because you're gonna, like I said before I got my arbitrage unit, like you're gonna get a lot of no's. You're gonna get people who don't reply. You're gonna get people who are saying "F you." I've got a couple of those too.
Hmm.
I got a few, like you can't let that deter you, and that kind of circles back to your why. I'm like, the why has to be strong enough to get through those initial hurdles.
Yeah.
Because honestly, once you just get one client, and we could even kind of touch on the automating part, which is the best part. Like once you get that set up, you get that one client, it gets put into the system, and it's all automated, and you're making that passive income. You're making, 500 to 1,000 a month, and you're going to get the bug. Then you're going to grind. But it's like
Right.
getting to there.
Right.
You got to get to that first one. It's like everyone's first deal is the hardest. Like buying real estate, everything. It's like no matter what business, the first client, the first deal is the hardest. But if you can get to it, I mean, that on the other side of it is,
Just got to be consistent.
it's
Yep.
sky's the limit. Got to be consistent.
Yeah, well, very cool. If folks that are on here listening, they want to talk to you about getting into short-term rentals and what you do, and or maybe like I said, they might have a property that they want you to manage. How do they get in touch?
I would say my website, so it's stayKresorts.com. It serves with two purposes. It's one, it's my direct booking site for my dome, and then two, it's where I promote my co-hosting and managing as well.
Awesome. All right, cool. And I'll put that down in the show notes. Hey man, thank you, Isaac, for coming on here and sharing your knowledge, bro.
Definitely.
I love it, man. I think that's a fantastic way to get into real estate. And everybody out there, I hope you guys enjoyed it and took some good notes. And Isaac, thank you again, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.